Either way, this is it. Heroic or Godsent. One of them makes it through to the semifinals. Many would have written Godsent off going into this tournament, but they have proven us wrong time and time again. They've showed resilience. They put the pressure on the Danish powerhouse. And now, Vince, it all comes down to Train.
Exactly. None of the previous plays, stats, or results matter. It all comes down to Train. Flashes out. Heroic on the T side, looking to get aggressive. The classic B-hit takes shape, and Farlig at least gets one. That opens up enough room for Madden to deliver. But now Zen has fallen on the side as well. Tesses can trade up to the USP and start to put it at range towards the oncoming CTs. They still have a bit of utility at their disposal, but they have lost their kit. And we'll have to go back onto the site to try and retrieve it momentarily. Tessis now posted up, takes down Madden in midair, and he continues to rip through the frags with Storm, and that's the round done. Heroic claim first blood in our decider.
And this is the first pistol they've won in the entire series thus far. They have lost every single pistol round, and wow, finally getting off to a good start. The question will be, can Godsent break back in response? They are going to invest. Madden with the scout. The rest of the players purchasing into Deagles and Kevlar and a little bit of extra cash saved for Farlig for an AWP later in the map. But the T's, though, they are going in heavy. They've invested into 4 rifles. They do not want to risk this round whatsoever. It's not about a money-making scheme. They do not care about that side of things. They want to win the round, but there you go, Madden. What a way to start things off, and Sticko as well will chime in at exactly the same time, giving them a 2-man opener and leaving just 3 remaining for Heroic to pick up the pieces.
3 remaining players, though, all have rifles, and where the bodies hit the floor for the Danes, it's hard to retrieve these guns. HE, though, tossed into main. I wonder if that's forced that weapon away from main as well, back towards the CTs. May have been dual purpose. I'm not sure if it caught the cusp of the wall or not, but no one's picked it up on Godsent at least. Now the T's looking to brute force their way outside of Ivy with 2, leaving a weakened Nico, who is on top of that Galil, so no CTs will be taking it anytime soon. Stout looking for the white swing, getting 1, spraying in for a second as Zen caught with a grenade out in his hands. And now Farlig is the next to fall. Godsent were looking so good in a 5v3. And although 2 players are weakened and certainly in the scout range, there's 35 seconds left for Heroic to now make moves elsewhere on the map and still get this round going their way.
It looks like they're going to just rotate this back through main, not wanting to take the risk through Ivy, but this actually gives a real setup for the remaining CTs to try and do some damage. Molotov expended, scout shot connected. It could all be crucial. Madden trying to do this on his own. He finds himself another kill, leaving just 12 seconds, and look how low the players are. Emmy should be able to close this, and Cadian, he has to get the kills, but the round is already over. Godsent, they equalize things. Will they get any of the guns? Well, I don't think they're going to mind. And the fact is, Emmy has run in and managed to find himself an AK. A huge round from Madden. A great start to this map for him. And what, if he continues in this fashion, maybe Heroic might be going home.
But what's even more impressive than those opening 2 picks is the fact that they still came back into this at a 3v3 when they were in the weaker position. Like, they got the early trades going in their way. That's one thing. But to then hold the line when you're against rifles and you basically have a scout and a couple of pistols is phenomenal. I'm sure there'll be a question towards Heroic as to that decision to go back to A again. But of course, they didn't have the benefit of the minimap or any of the information that we have. For all they know, one of the CTs is posted up around Pop Dog and just shuts them down in the side when they try to rotate with about 20 seconds left. So they had to go for a gamble. It didn't work out. And now they find themselves down on low HP on Cadian. A bit surprised that they haven't fully pulled the plug just yet, but now they're going in. The green light is pressed. In come the teams. They have control over the farm, and it will be traversing across to the site, but Zen gets 2. There's Burrup, though, downtown with the deke. Zen and Madden sent reeling, and Stout gets 1. Surely not Heroic. You battled so bravely to come back into this, and now you're hemorrhaging more players. The Godsent members pushing up close with the MP9, but Stiko has been sent packing by Burrup's 3rd. And Godsent, they're trying everything they possibly can to dig into this round. Emmy on the flank should have Stound dead to right. You can see the shadow. CZ opens up and shuts him down. There's no kit in the hands of the IGL, but he doesn't need it because he's got a CZ. And that's the only piece that he needs to clutch this round.
Was that like the greatest flex of all time? Just decided, my AK ain't worth it anymore. I'm just going to switch to the CZ and kill off both players. I thought for sure after the first kill, he would just switch back, but no. A clutch, Vince, that shouldn't have been needed. It shouldn't have been around where Emmy had to pull up that big, but a 1v3 for the in-game leader has brought them back around. And in all honesty, it's one that I don't think GODSENT deserved whatsoever.
I would be in complete agreement with you on that one, Tom. What a fantastic start in terms of excitement. Explosive Counter-Strike action across the map. Back and forth. Even the teams with the superior firepower have been having to really dig deep to make these rifles sing. Tessis, Nico, and Cadian still alive, all with the Eagles. Didn't fully invest. It was only Borup that was down to 500. So they will have a buy into the next. And they don't have the bomb over here, but they have Tessis with a Deagle, who then gets silenced down by Farlig's AWP. Zen also burns Nico to a crisp, but with all of that confrontation over on B, maybe Cadian can just sneak his way in for a free plant. He can. And he's still got a Deagle. So if GODSENT aren't careful coming out into the open, maybe Cadian can rattle some skulls and take this round for the Danes after all. Won't be happening. He gets one dig, but Farlig instantly retorts. That's a pretty good result, all things considered there, Tom. 3 kills and a bomb plant with only an AK invested. They'll take that.
Yeah, basically those 3 kills were for free, because all we saw them invest was a few deagles into the round, so the bomb plant paid for everything they invested, and then the 3 kills are basically just extra damage they've done at no extra cost. That's a superb round for Heroic, and I don't know if it was the initial plan to sort of bait them into a B rotate and then have your A player just go in and plant the bomb. It's something I've only seen once or twice with almost like a very elaborate ruse. Well, I say once or twice. Every day in matchmaking, like you all go A, I go B, the classic CIS strategy you hear regularly. But I mean, in professional play, it's not something you really see at all.
Back into the fray we move. Heroic 1-3 behind, but have rifles and an AWP. Nico taking some early box halls control. It's been a bit of a slow start for him. Just 15 ADR to his name and no kills. That can quickly switch around, though. Still early days in our deciding matchup and a spot in the semi-finals. The DreamHack Masters up for grabs, and it's Farlig that wants it more. On the approach, he gets a frag onto Cadian, narrowly misses out in a second. Information, though, being gathered across to the CTs. They know the bomb is going to be planted very shortly. And now in a post-plant with 2 AWPs on the retake. This is definitely not a done deal just yet. Heroic still have a big claim to this round and make it theirs.
In the after-plant positions, they haven't been able to gain too much control, however. Still only playing the closer angles. Nico is going to be the first point of contact, and actually the flank comes in. It's quite delayed. The Stound doesn't expect anyone still to be there. From this point, they have to take the fight, and it will eventually be the retake. Incredibly close on the time. I think that's why Stound turns his back. It's like, okay, there's no way anybody's flanking all the way around at this stage of the round. It's so late. And Sticko, again, we talk about how he had so much impact, although not necessarily having the stats to back it up. Well, once again, the 2 kills he gets in the retake make it all possible.
Timeout has been called. Heroic in that area where you expect to see another buy. I think this may be a technical. And so, yeah, we're expecting some technical issues, unfortunately. That's a great little gif. Oh, I do love that. That's how my PC's felt. I've had mixer issues, my PC blue screened. My real voice was revealed for a little bit as well.
I did enjoy Helium Vince. Like that might be my highlight of DreamHack Masters so far. Like there's been a lot of good plays, but hearing your voice that high was glorious. It was also just what you actually said in the moment as well. It's like, yeah, I've been having some technical issues. It's like, have you? No, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, that was definitely a confusing moment. My PC like fully locked up. I came back and I'm like, hi, can you hear me? And then just I hear myself back later on. It's like 15 octaves too high. It's like, well, okay. That just happened.
Yeah, beautiful moment. Of course,
all on my end,
like all the issues. They've been fixed. They've been sorted. Whatever it was, be it a broken mouse, a spilt drink, who knows? Many different things. It seems like Tessus has been having issues with his lights the entire tournament. I think the man just lives in a black hole at this point. I've never seen any light in that room at any stage. But hey, if you're going to drop 30+ kills in the map and win your team Vertigo, fair enough. You do you.
Nice flick on Farlig. Right off the bat, opening his account once more. And yeah, I mean, you look at Tessus and his stats. 56 kills, 31 deaths, 1.57 rating with 94 ADR. The guy is feeling it, but they may need him to step up again. And instead he's stepped on by Zen's AK. Double spray. Good for potentially a 5th round. Zen wants more though. He's not content with the 2 kills, but that overextension may be unneeded, unrequired. Has cost him his life, and it will be a post plant. There could be a rotation coming through from Emmy. Maybe you can catch Cadian unawares. They did go for a late flank a couple rounds prior, and that may very well be fresh in the back of Heroic's mind as to a potential to come back in again. That could allow the rest of the troops, though, to make moves through and rally on towards Borat, who was all alone, posted at the back of the site, trying to go for the spray in their Stico. And in amongst all of that, Emmy gets aggressive and finds out Cadian's position. They do have a kit. It's in the hands of Stico. He can stick on that bomb. And that's actually Madden that goes on top of it right now. So with time being this low, I was going to say if Cadian could somehow thread the kill, that could be the round done. But he's not interested. As far as he's concerned, they all have kits and he can't risk it. So another post plant goes the way of GODSENT. And now they steamroll to a 5-1 lead.
Superb work by Zen on the site. I almost wonder if at this stage Barup maybe has like a bulletproof hat. Like we've seen him wearing the backwards cap in his photo, but it looked like he was perfectly on his face, but just Counter-Strike things, unfortunately. He's been wrecked by that one. Double orb setup will continue. Madden, a slightly slower start than they might like, but Farlig has been fantastic. Look how far Nico's got, though. He's pushed all the way down. He can't quite correct his aim for the second, but it gives away the information for Cadian, and Tessus has also opened up when it comes to the B side of the map. Farlig, what's this happen? Oh no, it's gone completely wrong. We talk about whiffs. That might be the greatest of them all. That is not what we wanted to see in this round. And Heroic, well, they probably had the round put to bed anyway, but Farlig has gift wrapped it for them. A little early Christmas gift for them in the early stages of this map.
Well, let's hope that's just Farlig getting out of his system. He's like, look, we're probably not going to win this round. Now's my whiff. It's gone. It's done. You get one of them per game, and now it's back to straight up fragging. And let's be honest as well, Farlig's actually had a pretty good series. He's been there on point for GODSENT time after time. He's actually top fragging for them. He's 47 and 36 with a 1.24 rating coming into this. Nearest player on his team is 36. So 47, big drop off. Not that far behind Tessus. You know, we've been waxing lyrical about how great Tessus has been in this series. Farlig's not too far behind him in terms of straight up stats. And in terms of this game, right now on Train, he's topping again with 8.
Yeah, no doubt in my mind in the first map, it was easy to decide who was the best in that map. Like, Farlig took the lead. And then in the second one, he was decent. Unfortunately, there was just a few rounds where it seemed like there were slip-ups from players. And, like, well, they should have closed it. Let's be real. They went in against Pistols and an AWP, and the Pistols actually won the round. That flashbang's not gone right. They bumped into each other. A little bit of spatial awareness. A problem here. Emmy has just been shot. Like, Tessus has run out of full pace and taken him down. However, there have been trades back almost instantly. Sticko picking up an AWP, not something I thought I'd be saying too often. Madden also coming up with 2. And again, this was a round where there was a weaker purchase. Heroic with a chance to break them, and Cadian still looking to do so. He escapes just by the skin of his teeth. He needs Stown to go big here, and he might have missed it.
No, Stown. He's got the oars out, and he's powering his way back into it. Against the tide, against the current, but still has his low health. Oh, I was going to say, still has his AK, but then Zen's like, what's up, mate? This is a 5-7, and it hurts. 6-2.
I've seen the new skin that's come out in the new case, and I'm sure that 5-7 will be something that Vince will be using. You know, the one with all the ponies on it. That's right up your alley. But
it's called the fairy tale, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, you got the fade, so it's a shame. Not the skin you wanted, but not a bad one nonetheless.
I was gutted about that, Tom. I tell you, I was sat there weeping. Weeping I was. Tell you who else is weeping. Heroic if this continues, because Stiko with an MP9 never has a right to win that fight. It is traded back with the Molotov, but an MP9 traded for a rifle, they'll take that.
That was just rude. I almost feel like I was violated and it didn't even happen to me. Stown tries to go on a straight peak versus Farlig, and I can't say I'm too much in agreement of that attempt. It's not been a man that you wanted to face off against. It seems like he didn't get in his head as well, which is good, because after a sort of whiff of that regard, I'm sure it would be very easy to just conk yourself out of the match.
I pose the question, how would GODSENT battle back after a disappointing loss on Vertigo, which I truly believe they really should have won? I think we've had some answers here, Tom. It's been...
in style. That's how they
exactly. Business as usual. Calm and calculated. Speaking of which, Zen to the forefront. With the M4, we've already seen him have a lot of success in the same position. It funnels Burrup down towards the ramp behind Grey Train. And Zen knows it. He's changing his angles. That catches Cadian off guard, and although Zen may have the first kill, it's unlikely he can rinse and repeat and connect onto many more. The Molotov will buy him up a little bit of time to focus his attention towards the site, where Zen is still waiting, takes his head off, has the bomb, and could potentially go for the plant. He's about to be wide swung, and Farlig takes his time, lines up the shot, and will get a 7th for GODSENT. They are looking in fine fashion once again, Tom. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, I even just think on an individual level they look better. It might just be confidence. Like, confident in your new in-game leader is definitely going to change things. Like, if you feel like, okay, this system works for us, it might only be a quick fix initially, but I'm sure getting through to the semi-final of DreamHack Masters is going to get you some confidence for quite a while. Also, beating the #2 team in the world and Astralis in the same week, not bad, but they've got to finish it first. Cadian, uncharacteristic. Miss again. It's not been a good day for him. I wouldn't even be surprised if he was currently the bottom in the whole statistics. You've been looking at them earlier. We'll give it a moment before you go back to them, because Zen, again, is coming under pressure, but he's got Farlig to support him. There's one Dane in this server at the moment, and unfortunately, it's not on the heroic side. Farlig has been just sending them to the grave, and Zen the Finn is alongside him. Cadian trying to fix things, but it's been clutch after clutch attempted so far for heroic, and there's been no success whatsoever.
Should act as a compliment, though, because Cadian is typically so good that you don't expect him to have quiet games like this, especially recently. Now, he's still in this round, and this could be the motivation, the inspiration, the rallying moment that needs to get heroic out of their slump. And if it could be this man of Cadian landing a big 1v3, that could be the catalyst that explodes them back into train, back into the quarterfinals. He goes for the peak, not sure as where to the second player is. And if he comes out into the open, he's going to be a goner. Zen puts him down with ease. That's an AWP that can get picked up as well. And although it's a post plant, it doesn't really provide anything for Heroic to get excited about again.
That was so well played as well. Like, the communication in that situation must have been perfect. They spotted where the bomb was planted. I don't know if Emmy managed to see Cadian as he zoomed past at full speed. Maybe he did. But the second he gets on that defusal, there's no chance. Because Zen is holding the angle. Even if he manages to flick to Zen, the amount of time that he had been on that bomb, it was done. There was maybe a chance he could have killed both players, but no chance of actually winning the rounds. 8 already for GODSENT on their CT side. Now, they've definitely had their struggles when it comes to the T side, like getting those openers, but at the moment, I'm not really worried for them. They've got everybody they needed. Zen, Mr. Consistent, playing very well, and it's always difficult to have a positive KD as the B anchor, because that means you have to be getting a multi-frag while they're entering you. Like, that basically means you're not allowing them to trade in the majority of cases, which that's very impressive. Like, if you're even as a B side anchor, you're probably doing a pretty good job.
Stiko this time, not quite as prolific as he was hoping for. Still a lot of damage to Tessis, and Emmy making sure that he won't spill out of Pop Dog and cause too much mayhem and havoc. Double up still in play. Tessis 21 HP has definitely been quieted down somewhat, Tom. And you're asking about Cadian's current stats. He's currently 3rd, but he's very close to the last two. Borup and Nico, only a few kills away from him. So in terms of stats, he's definitely not had a great game. Tessis does go down the way of GODSENT once again, and Madden so patient, waiting for the right moment to pull the trigger, and Cadian runs into his crosshair. GODSENT running into the gauntlet again, but Nico tries to free himself up. We had that pre-game interview where he was talking about previous successes. Well, unless he can have a big turnaround in form, it's unlikely that Heroic will play any further part at DreamHack Masters. So they decide to pull away, 40 seconds to fade back onto B, but Zen is a step ahead. He's laid here and he's waiting.
It's like he thought of it exactly the same time as they did. They started their rotation. He's going to hear all the footsteps. He couldn't be in a better position. They have to drop down in front of him, or they're going to clear the angle. He half checks it. He doesn't look into the angle properly. And now Farlig can rotate in and take down Nico. Oh, that is unfortunate. It looked like he had the right read for a second, but a mistake made. And a fantastic read, as you mentioned, from Zen. He was spot on. Like, the second they started going back, he was like, okay, they're going now. Like, if that happened to me in a matchmaking game, that guy's getting reported 15 times. I'm not bitter, I swear.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Heroic are probably pretty tilted right about now. Again, though, we go back to that resilience. They're taking so much damage from a HE. And now they're running out to Molotov. They're running into the MP9. They're sprayed, but not fully fragged by Zen. He will meet his demise. It's that great cost to Heroic. It's another post-plant. Nico using that smoke to his advantage. It was the tiniest of gaps that he's exploited and put the bullet in the head of the oncoming CTs. Stiko now has a chance, but if damage and a flashbang alongside it, waiting for his teammates who are behind him. Now keep in mind his two teammates are the AWPers, so he's basically alone. He needs to do most of the heavy lifting himself, and his arms have buckled. Down comes the weight on top of him. Heroic have about a third of the bomb timer to try and draw away, but Madden round the corner with the Deagle. And speaking of which, he dies to the Deag of Cadian. Farlig now waiting, praying for an opportunity. Outruns Cadian. The spray is so labored, and even if Farlig got it, the time is too scarce. Both players go down with the bomb. Heroic pick up a third. Maybe there's more where that came from, and there absolutely has to be, Tom, if they want to bring this back.
Oh, with the amount of rounds that have been won in a row, you would sit here and think, okay, you know, like they won 5 in a row, then they won 3 in a row. You got to look at this and go, okay, probably going to be some money in the bank, right? In fact, it was 4 in a row after that. Nope. These have all been clutch situations. It's been nearly every single one of them. There's been 1vx's so many times, and they were taken over the line by the CT side. A fast push now versus what is mostly pistols, as there was no money left for GODSENT into this round. A 9-6 looking more and more likely by the second, and all it took was a single victory. However, we're still in a round that's not necessarily done. Farlig's still standing. Emmy has next to nothing, unfortunately, and well, now we have to question what direction they're going to go in. If Farlig can win this duel, there is a real chance for him to take that round home.
It's close. He nearly put the bullet into the head. Maybe he wasn't anticipating a full-on wide swing. Shot a bit too soon, but Heroic do get a fourth. And as you highlighted, with them going in for a force with pistols, there's not too much to come back onto now. I mean, maybe Madden could get like a P250. He's actually gone for a Deag. Other than that, though, it's pretty scarce. So these are the kind of formalities that Heroic have got to make sure that they dot the I's, they cross the T's with as few casualties as possible. This is about building a bit of confidence, trying to stop that momentum, build up your own head of steam.
It really does show how close a lot of these rounds have been, though. Like, we've been hyping up GODSENT a lot. And rightly so. They deserve it. They've been superb. But you have to think about the amount of sort of 2v2s, 2v1s that they've managed to scrape through with maybe one player surviving. Like rounds that easily could go the other way. They've managed to win. And the punish was massive when they finally lost one. Now, we're going to see Heroic start to grind back into things. We have mentioned throughout this series that they are the comeback kings. They are the team that never seem to be out of any situation. And hey, we were looking at this at like an 8-2, 9-3 scoreline and going, well, you know, this is looking bleak. A 9-6, however, might be a slightly different story.
It would, but then they'd still have to rectify their very poor pistol performances, Tom. Because GODSENT do take that second pistol. Pressure is firmly applied right back to the throat. In terms of this, it is going to go the way as anticipated for Heroic. However, they have lost an AK, and Emmy's got his hands on it. That'll be a nice bonus that's picked up. Looks like he is just going to be retreating, getting a bit of a reprieve, a bit of a respite. And I wonder if GODSENT decide to call a timeout here, because this is a very important round as far as I'm concerned. They still have plenty of timeouts at their disposal. They're going to have a buy no problems. But I feel like these are the kind of crunch moments where you want to make sure that you take your time and you figure out exactly what you want to do next. Stiko is also in a bit of an awkward position economically. He's only got a smoke alongside Emmy. There's a flashbang on top of it. They decide not to go for the timeout. They're fully confident in their committal, and they want to make sure that they just press forward as soon as possible. You can respect it.
Well, interesting stat for you. The only pistol that they won was in this map, and no matter what happens here, this will be their joint worst start to the maps we've seen so far today. Because even if they get a 9-6 here, that was what happened on the first map. Zen, he's going to be caught, though. It is an early pick still going in their direction. Off the hands of Farlig. Even with a rifle, he's been deadly. Thoroughly impressed with his performance, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of teams regretting that they didn't make the move for this man. Stiko as well is already going to drop another. It is looking like it's going to be their worst half to start in this series, unless Cadian and a very low HP Nico can manage to bring this back.
It's looking bleak, to say the least. And as its time ticks away, the day gets darker for Heroic. 40 seconds to spare. No utility between the two of them. Really, the only saving grace is they do have control over the bomb. Wasn't dropped out around outside, A side, in some awkward position. So maybe if they can draw away one of the CTs, there could be some success. There could be another victory before the close of the half. 20 seconds. Nico taking point as you'd expect with Cadian on the AWP behind him. He needs an entry, and he needs one right now. Checking his angles, but he doesn't check the one that counts, and that will be Stiko taking him down. And even if Stiko dies to a beautiful no-scope, Cadian shouldn't have time, and he has to run out into the open, and Emmy's there to collect. It will read 10-5 with GODSENT just 6 rounds away from another massive upset.
Yeah.
Well, this is the worst deficit we've seen for Heroic so far. They lost 9-6 when it came to Inferno, and that was the map that they couldn't quite get into. Now they are currently 10-5 down, but they're going into the CT side of Train. We're going to need to see a classic fight back from them. Almost the same resilience we saw from GODSENT on Vertigo, who, well, they've impressed us from start to finish. Now they go onto the T side of what is a pretty tough T side map. Can GODSENT take themselves through to the semifinals, or are Heroic going to ruin their dreams?
For me, GODSENT's T sides have typically been a little bit more deadly than their CT side. So now they find their way T side of Train. They can get this pistol under wraps. Heroic in real serious trouble. Tessis hasn't quite had the same layers of impact as the first 2 rounds, but he's still in 11 frags. So it just goes to show how godly he was for the first 2 of the best of 3. And I'm starting to think that Farlig is a double agent, you know, for Denmark. Because if GODSENT do take down Heroic, that means they beat Astralis, North, and Heroic. They are the Danish demolishers at this point, right? Like, it's kind of insane. But they haven't pushed just yet. Now the smokes come out, Tom, and they're going to be making moves.
Tessis is already going to kick things off. He's been a superstar throughout this series, and they're going to need him once again. Cadian trying to wrap around and take some more control. And in terms of pistols, they've been pretty poor, but the Train side pistol might be where the curse is broken. Looking to double up and take both, and they will in clean fashion. 10-6, a fantastic start to the CT side, but they've only won 1 pistol so far in this series. That was in the first half. They lost the second round to a scout of Madden. So let's wait with bated breath and see if they can finally get a conversion, because that would be a brand new thing for this series so far.
It would, but the nature in which they shut down that push gives me confidence for Heroic. That looked really solid. Everybody, by the way, over 10 frags. Everyone pulling their weight. Do we have a bit of a reversal when we're talking about Tessis being a god, but no one else helping him out? Are we going to have something like that for Farlig now as they move through onto the T side? It's one thing to get static AWP kills. It's another to have to create chances with the AWP. It's not as easy, especially on maps like Train, if you're against teams that throw in good utility, and Heroic absolutely will. It's a lot of open-ended questions that we need answering. Nico, oh, Stiko puts the bullet in his head instantly. He was even shoulder peeking. That's outrageous.
The worst thing is as well, they picked up an incendiary, so this gives them the safety of the plant. Sure, they've got next to nothing in this round. I'm hoping that maybe the SMG or something goes into other hands. Zen as well is still somehow on the flank. He's retrieved a deagle, doesn't make a sound. Tessis currently sneaking his way back through, could be in real trouble here. Now, this is a round that should be an impossibility. They still have next to nothing. If they win this round, it is truly a ridiculous feat for the side of GODSENT. A free kill, that's 1. Now they have to panic. They need to clear this man from behind before they can push forward into the site. Otherwise, Zen could be the backbreaker. Farlig uses the UMP, and Sticko drops another. It's left all on Barup, and he'll go down to the Glock. That was just 2 deagles, and that's enough for GODSENT to break back this round. Heroic cannot convert a pistol to save their damn lives.
Heroic, call a timeout right now, please. Please call a timeout. Just get a detox in. Just all scream down the microphones. Get that out your system. Please don't run straight back into this. That is an absolute backbreaker. As you said, it was a deagle. That was it. And it all cracked open by Stiko, but maybe Heroic can return the favor, answer the call. They've got an opening pick already. They've got a scout. They've got some deals in play. They actually have a better buy than GODSENT had in the last round. And we know how that worked, but Farlig, using the smoke to his advantage, just pushes past it, nullifying Burrup in the process, and Heroic onto the back foot. My God, history has repeated itself.
Oh, they've retrieved an AK. That's something, but in the meantime, the push has already come in onto this B site. The cross is actually being held. Stiko actually doesn't spot out Nico, so that's a freebie. 1 kill will go their way and turn this into a 3v3. It's not out of the realms of possibility that they managed to turn this back. Zen just holding close, but the Deeg over the top of the smoke might be able to find him. The peek comes in, though, and the AK hits the deck for the second time. A cursed rifle, perhaps, because nobody has managed to manage just yet. Nico peeking back in, a master of the deagle, no doubt, but he needs an instant frag, and it just isn't happening. Cadian left alone with the scout, and while once again, GODSENT are going to convert this round. I'm almost starting to wonder, Vince, if we're going to get like a big sort of Scooby-Doo reveal at the end, and Farlig would just like peel off, and it will actually be JW, and he was just like, I came down, I wanted to destroy Denmark. Oh, it was me the whole time. Because, hey, Fnatic didn't want to play this tournament. There had to be a reason why. Or maybe they didn't get in, but that's not the point.
Just like this big M. Night Shyamalan twist ending. I see dead people. Oh, he has been phenomenal, though, especially on Train. I mean, Zen as well needs a lot of plaudits. A lot of his holds on the B side of the map in particular, basically alone, getting doubles, getting triple kills, has just been so integral to GODSENT building up a decent first half, ending at 10-5. But you've got to pose a couple of questions across the heroic here, though, Tom. They had golden opportunities on both sides of the coin, both halves, to get their economy established, to get some rounds rolling, and they lost the second round twice in a row. That is not good enough for the second best team in the world. If you want to hold on to that position, you've got to do better. Tessis tries to jump up with the Zeus, gets punished. And that will be GODSENT taking the lead again.
Yeah, no, it is definitely the case. Like, losing the pistol round, I can forgive that. I can forgive that every time. I think it's a very 50-50 round. Losing the force fight, even when your opponent has not forced, that's not forgivable. Like, that's a round that it's just unacceptable. And I don't think they're going to be looking back at that demo and feeling happy about how this one has gone. Even if they manage to pull off the miracle turnaround, it will still be a disappointing result. Whereas for GODSENT, the resilience this team has shown has been almost uncanny. Like, it's something we definitely haven't seen from this roster, I would say, before. No matter the iteration, with all the players sort of coming in, there's been moments where I've watched them and gone, okay, they probably tapped out of this one. And after losing 16-14 as close as they did, I think we were both sort of sat there going, okay, do they come back? Are we just going to get a heroic blowout now? I almost wonder if Heroic have gone into that going, well, we almost threw away our map choice. We're under pressure. We've lost to this team literally a couple of weeks ago with a different IGL. Now, whoa, we didn't get the veto we expected. We didn't get that hero map. I sort of sat there and going, oh, there's no nuke. Maybe there's no chance. They've taken Inferno. They almost took Vertigo. And now GODSENT, well, they have a huge lead. 7 rounds in head. And more importantly, this buy is not fantastic. We know that they love the double AWP over on this CT side. However, they've already dropped the one that's in play.
Doubled up as well. Borup gets the second. And Stiko's down to 26. Keep in mind as well, Tom, just to carry on what you were saying before, it was Heroic that banned Nuke. They showed a lot of respect across the GODSENT. Like, look, your Nuke's pretty decent, and we've had a couple of struggles, so we're going to ban that against you, actually. That's absolutely insane to me. Now, does Cadian get caught out with a smoke? Oh, he does! No, Cadian, that's so unlucky. He thought of it twice. That indecision's cost him paralysis by analysis, perhaps. And now Stiko goes in. There will be a post plant out of nowhere, out of thin air. This has got into the realms of possibility, and even if GODSENT can't quite pull this one out the bag, if they can kill another player or two, that might be good enough, but they are eyeing up the victory. They're not interested in the economic war. They don't care about the war of attrition. They want to cut it off right now. They want to get themselves 2 rounds away from the semi-finals. And although Stown is pushed straight up close and Stiko is low, he's playing the position perfectly. He's allowing his teammate to have more impact, and between the two of them, they've clutched a 2v4.
I stand by the fact that if you take impact kills alone, Stiko has been the most important player in this entire series. I don't know how he keeps doing it. It seems like when it comes to eco frags, this man just isn't interested, so you won't see him at the top of the board. But when they need a clutch, when they need an important double, this man is there. He may not necessarily be the man we look to shine, but he definitely has throughout this series a superb performance. And as you mentioned, they are getting ever close to a semi-final spot with the first event they've played with this 5, I guess officially. I'm not counting the play-in. I'll give them that one. It was one best of 3 versus Mouse Sports, a team who are on the rise. Put this through as their first proper tournament, and while it has been a superb one, The Danes are on the back foot. Astralis have already fallen. North as well. They look to put the whole of Denmark on their body pile. They leave not much in their wake. A minute left on the clock, but not much for Heroic to play with whatsoever. Just the pistols to try and turn this round, and they are being torn to shreds. It'll be an easy after plant position. The remaining players just hoping, almost begging, to steal away a weapon, to have something in this one. And as of right now, they're not being given anything.
Unbelievable story that is taking shape right now. Debut at a big event of this stature, and GODSENT will have 9 match points, 9 semi-final points. Heroic, the second best team in the world. A team that, let's be honest, coming into this tournament, Tom, would have wanted to win. It was a declaration, a chance to put their flag in the ground and say, we are the world's best. And although they have got a couple of victories, it's not against top 10 teams. Contact and Spirit they beat to get to this point. GODSENT, though, their run has been super legit. Wins against Astralis, wins against North, and now a loss against Mouse Sports, and now potentially beating Heroic on their trajectory through to the last 4. Can Heroic weather the storm? They've got a good buy. It's double ops again. We know, Tom, they're a team that can come back from these deficits, but I would simply say that GODSENT today have been far too good to let this slip.
Yeah, this could have very easily been a 2-0, and I wouldn't have questioned it if it was. But we'll see. The double op setup is something I enjoy thoroughly from this Heroic side. I think Stown is excellent with the secondary, and Tesses, sure, he's been a little bit quieter on this map, but I think that's why the scoreline's so dominant. He needed to be an absolute maestro, a monster when it came to Vertigo, just to get them through. They might need him once again. A minute 15. And actually a 3-man setup currently in play on this B site. Cadian's going to start things off strong. The AWP reigns true. Hasn't been his best of days, no doubt. And with Zen currently chugging along at 21 kills, they're definitely not out of this round. The drop down comes in, and he insta. Goodbye, Tesses. He might be out of this tournament off that alone, but a trade comes back in from Barup. An important kill, to say the least, as the execution begins.
That boost up is good, but he actually misses. Emmy had that kill, dead to rights. I'm not sure how Barup survived. I can only see from Cadian's perspective as the tracer fire went across the server. And in the distance, we hear the death of yet another of the GODSENT players. 30 seconds. Zen and Farlig, weakened, labored, approach onto the site. They are isolated for now, but Farlig is making moves through main. They need Zen to have some big entries again, and there's some awkward positions that Heroic have put themselves in. Not enough time to check all of these nooks and crannies, and in doing so, the round should be falling the way of Heroic. Many more will be required. Farlig goes down to the hands of Barup, and Zen, he will actually get rid of the AWP, and that's a pretty big pick alongside it. They only have 1 AWP left, and they don't have enough money to get a secondary AWP, Tom, and we know how much they love their double AWP, so that's pretty big.
Yeah, it may not seem like much, and for Zen, it really didn't matter in terms of finances whether or not he survived, but that single kill has completely changed the dynamic of this round. Bear in mind, Cadian was playing fairly aggressive with his AWP. If that's something they're going to continue to do, he won't have the same backup on the A site anymore of that secondary AWP, so yeah, huge pick. Of course, for Heroic, a very strong round. As you mentioned, I don't know how Barup gets away with not dying, but the fact is he did. An important couple of kills coming in from him. And actually, we talk about players, as said, before this tournament, he wasn't impressed with his own performance. Now he's actually top of the scoreboard for his entire team. In fact, second in the whole server. But it's other players that have gone quiet. Stown, he's missing. And although, yeah, 11 and 17 is not the worst kill tally in the world, we'll see worst in most events. In fact, Emmy's currently below him right now. It matters for Heroic. It really matters. They need their young star to step up. They need it, well, probably about 20 minutes ago.
This feels like what the scoreline would have been if Tessis didn't just go thermonuclear on Vertigo, yeah. Tom. It required a ridiculous world-class performance for them to even narrowly escape by 16-14 on Vertigo. And now that Tessis hasn't had that big impact, he's really being felt, that absence. Now, that's a huge grenade. Excellent HE, $300 well spent. Zen's been wrecked and Farlig taking a little bit of damage. That puts him in the headshot range of these M4s. And now GODSENT looking to pull the trigger, looking to get right down the throats of Heroic. Oh no, Tessis is burned alive. The flashes were so good. And Farlig gets an assist on both of them. Stown trying to push through the smoke. This could be the last passage of play. This could be Heroic done at the DreamHack Masters. And now Stown is going to show his hand. There's 2 kills. Finally, he starts to wake up. We start to see what this guy is capable of. But his teammates are being swatted around him. They're being dropped all over the place. Stown gives his back up, still holds his nerve. Another kill comes down, but 50% of the fuse is gone, and so will Farlig, who drops down. Uncharacteristic mistake from such a well-performing player. And Ostico's last alive, but Borup will clutch.
When they needed it most, Stown steps up, a triple kill, but also mistakes. We're starting to see maybe the crack showing a little bit for GODSENT. That round almost looked like it was in the bag. A 2v2 situation and then falling off. That front train just handed away the kill, because you have to bear in mind, they got both entries. This was a 5-on-3. Stown, sure, this was hugely impressive, but at the same time, you now have to put the magnifying glass over GODSENT and say, you overfaced there. You wanted it to close it out fast. You wanted to close it out in style, and you might have just given Heroic a way back into this one. 8-15, they've got 7 rounds. They've still got cash, bomb plants each time, boosting their economy that little bit further. And Madden is already going to start things off. Stown cannot be the hero again.
If Heroic start to snake their way back to 11 or 12, at that point, I'd be curious to see if GODSENT do push the self-destruct button. Maybe that lack of cohesion will start to come to the forefront, but we may not get to that area because Heroic have lost the first player. They don't have much utility either, and there's still a lot of time on the clock here, Tom. GODSENT can pick and choose. They can poke and probe. They can look to exploit these weaknesses, and they've decided that A main and A site is the best course of action. Good counter flash, keeps them stalled a little bit longer. With so much time left, they're still going to press forward.
Farlig looking to lead the way. Tessis could be the problem. Cadian, he finds one, but it's an instant trade back, keeping that man advantage going. Bomb has been dropped. Farlig just continues. He's looking to put his fellow Danes into the dirt as he looks to end this. Now, the bomb is dropped in the open. They've spotted Tessis back towards Pop. They now know where both players are, but there's only 25 seconds for them to deal with them. They need to get a move on here. Already, Cadian's picked off another. That bomb has still not been retrieved, and Cadian might just be keeping them in the match. 15 seconds as he gets his 4th kill of the round, and it's left onto Farlig, the fellow Dane. All Tessis has to do is survive. He will go falling back up the ladder, and this round is done. They live to fight another day. Leading by example, Cadian carries them through, and it is getting ever so close. 15-9, another round picked up, and GODSENT, that's another one that they've almost thrown away.
Daylight robbery, Tom. But you have to put in context that Cadian died. There's not enough money to pick up the AWP. So for as well as he did in this round, he will not have the big green to rest behind. He will not have that trusty sidearm, that trusty primary to come out swinging with. And instead it's the scout. It's the little brother. That's not to say that Heroic can't get it done, but they've already taken the early damage. Borup down to 16. Will be forced out of main, otherwise he'll burn alive. And so GODSENT are making their presence known. They're making it felt. Stico trying to flirt with the Pop Dog player over there, which will be Tessis. But elsewhere, they're getting ground Tom. They're getting Ivy. They're trying to push through here as well with 3 players all together. And it's being supported from the AWP Overwatch of Farlig.
This is smart. They know that Cadian can't be here with an AWP anymore. They know that in terms of the range, they're hurting. In terms of the weaponry, they're reduced. But the nades are actually what are doing most of the work. A lot of damage done on the initial take. Stown trying to spam through, but they're patient. Molotov, is it going to spread to Borup? That could be enough to take him out of the round, but I think he'll survive just about. Not quite spreading into the corner, and that could be a problem for GODSENT. It does look like the A site is where they look to try and make the take happen. And as the smoke fades, a second Molotov goes in. Barab has to go forward, but he's successful. And the trades come backwards down again. Another triple kill as he has sprung into action in this map. Sticko is all that's left. 25 seconds, no chance, no hope. And again, Heroic cling to life. They are pulling themselves back out of the grave, and they are not dead yet.
This is where Emmy's prowess as an IGL needs to come to the forefront, or Devilwalk as their coach. They need one of these two to hatch a master plan, because Heroic, since they've had their backs against the wall, they've shown that tenacity. It's almost like the more you put them down, the closer to defeat they are, the harder they get, the more dangerous they are, the stronger they are. They're always in with a puncher's chance, even when they're multiple rounds behind. And this is where they need a big call, a big read, a big moment. We saw Sticko with a deagle nearly win this game outright for GODSENT. It put them into multiple match points. He's got an AK. Maybe this is where his hero will be written once again.
Starting to feel a little bit nervous for GODSENT. There's no doubt they've been the better team, but it almost looks like for Heroic that the pressure's like off. It's like, okay, we've screwed this already. Let's just try our best to get back into things. If we lose, we know it's all in the past, that we've made our mistakes, whereas now, round by round, they have to take it. They don't have a choice. Once again, look to put some pressure in onto Tessus, but he's retreated. Maybe hearing the shots of the Tech-9 and realizing that this is not the angle to play. Sticko actually being given the hero rifle, and I've said it once, I'll say it again, Vince. He has had the most impactful plays in this game so far, giving them so many crucial rounds. If he closes it, well, I'd be inclined, even though his stats might not shine, to give him the MVP of the entire series.
Still have to get the job done. Running over shrapnel, bullets, smokes, and flashes. But a 1-for-1 trade suddenly turns into a 2-for-1. It will be a post-plant. There's no way they can stop this. And even Zen on low HP does not get finished off. The utility was already tossed in. Post-plant comes out. A site is such a nightmare of a site to retake when your body's behind. And although Heroic have the superior firepower, they need one of these three to at least get 2 kills. Whether it's Borup or not is yet to be seen. He's definitely been the pick of the bunch. Train has been his map for the Danes, but he's guessing wrong. Incorrect. Lots of time has been wasted. All 3 players have hits, but they need to start getting kills. Farlig puts the M4 to use, and Oniko will try and defuse and hope for the best, but it's gonna go the way of GODSENT. It happens